It's this kind of a vicious cycle that human beings have come through over the centuries. For centuries, especially in the Western world actually, okay, organized religion has used mysteries of creation to rule over the masses and actually even give direction to the kings and the emperors, become more powerful than the kings and the emperors. So religious leaders, religious masters were much more powerful than rulers, than politicians. And now I'm going to quote Stephen Hawking. Okay, Stephen Hawking, did God create the universe? In that he talks all of this, where he says that in the Western world, organized religion, and what did organized religion do? So he says in 1277, Pope John Paul the 21st, he felt so threatened by the laws of nature that he declared them as heresy. Heresy means blasphemy. So, for example, the law of gravitational pull is blasphemy. What these acts did when a religious leader who had so much following makes such a declaration, it made it appear as if nature and God, the natural laws and God are two separate things. One day what happened was, while Pope John Paul the 21st was sleeping, the roof collapsed on top of him. It just came down on him. So the same laws of nature that he had declared as heresy, that caused his own demise. And his life was cut short. This was a big blow. We are talking about 1277. This was a big blow to organized religion. But organized religion didn't give in. It continued with the same spirit. Where it said, it kind of slightly twisted it and said that the laws of nature are work of God, but God can break it whenever he wishes. Now, this is in complete contradiction to what Sri Krishna just said. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagye pratishtitam. Sri Krishna is saying what? He is saying that even Brahman, even the creator, he follows the spirit of yajna. One who is living in unison with this wheel of creation is contributing to the harmony of life. Whereas organized religion presents it in a different way. By the way, this is true for other religions, organized religions also. I just gave you one example. Stephen Hawking, he continues to say, by the way, Stephen Hawking is one of the greatest scientists of our modern times. And also one of the biggest skeptics, non-believers, atheist. He imagined a cosmic cookbook. And it's beautiful when I read this, okay? And what I'm going to show it to you is what he says is exactly what is there in our Bhagavad Gita too. So this cosmic cookbook describes how universe is made, like how we make food, how the universe, God, in this case, not Stephen Hawking is not saying that, how universe is made, not how God is making universe. There are 3 ingredients, he says, that are required to make this universe. The first one is matter, stuff that has mass. The second one is energy. Energy permeates the universe and makes it dynamic, ever changing, ever moving. And the third element that is required to make, or ingredient that is required to make the universe is space. Vast, stretching in all directions. And then he goes on to delve into it and says, where did all this matter, energy, space, where did all this come from? A scientific answer to this question came only in the 20th century by the work of another famous scientist called Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein realized that mass and energy is nothing but the same, or you can call it 2 sides of the same coin. His equation E is equal to mc square basically says that mass can be thought of as energy and vice versa. So then Hawkins asks, so if mass and energy are the same, let's say energy, where did the space and energy come from? And then science establishes that both were spontaneously created in an event, which today we know as the Big Bang. Okay, but does it end there? Where did this Big Bang out of nowhere come from? Out of nothing? God says the spiritualist. The spiritualist will say anything and everything. Energy came from God, mass came from God, space came from God, the Big Bang also came from God. The scientists say it comes from something called negative energy. A very simple example that Stephen Hawking gives is, if you have to dig the earth and build a mountain, then you are correspondingly digging a hole, which is almost equal to the size of the mountain that you are building. So that hole is the negative energy to the mountain. So science has this theory that as much as this Big Bang has created energy, in the space resides the negative energy also. But the spiritualist says that all that is also God, all that is also Brahman. So we'll be patient, we'll wait for the science and spiritualist followers to come to terms with each other. But for now, let me point out that what Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in his cosmic chain, beings, which is Bhuta, food, Anna, rain, Parjanya. These three are matter that we all can clearly understand in a scientific way. They are matter. Yajna and Karma are energy. Scientific way they are energy. Veda and Brahman are space. And if you notice, the first two, beings, food and rain, in one aspect, and Yajna and Karma, sacrifice and action, they are nothing but two sides of the same coin. So much before, whether it was Hawking or Einstein or Galileo or Aristarchus, much before that, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying something which scientists are saying today. It's a beautiful concept. This concept of cosmic order, concept of this chain link. And all of us need to keep that in our mind as we go about our day-to-day work. We have to be aware of this cosmic link. Are we being part of this cosmic link? Are we contributing to this cosmic link? Or are we eliminating ourselves from the cosmic link and not contributing to the cosmic link? In fact, taking from it but not giving back is a crucial question that each one of us should ask.